Hello everyone. So this is Vamshi Krishna, and today we are going to deal with the problems based on royalty and calculation of short workings. Okay, first let's start our first problem. So our first problem is, so if we check the question on 1/1/2012, the Gulbarga Collieries Limited leased a piece of land for a minimum rent of rupees 10,000. So here our minimum rent is rupees 10,000. You have to remember this in the first year and 20,000 in the second year. So minimum rent is changing for the second year. So 20,000 for the second year it seems, and thereafter 30,000 per annum. So first year it will be 10,000 minimum rent, second year it will be 20,000 minimum rent, and from third year onwards the minimum rent will be 30,000 per annum. Okay, merging into royalty of rupees 5 per ton. Okay, royalty will be rupees 5 per each ton. Okay, with power to recoup short workings over the first 3 years only. So we can recover short workings if any short workings, if we can recover those short workings in the first 3 years only. So we cannot recover in the from the fourth year onwards. You have to remember this. The annual output for the first 4 years was rupees 500, 500 tons, 3000 tons, 8,000 tons and 12,000 tons respectively. Calculate royalty and short workings. Okay, we have to calculate royalty as well as short workings. Okay, let's do this problem. Okay, if we look at the question, so the land has been leased on 1/1/2012, which means the first year is 2012, second year is going to be 2013, third year is going to be 2014, and fourth year is going to be 2015 respectively. And they have already given output in tons. Second column will be output in tons. So output they have already given 500 tons in first years, 3,000, 8,000 and 12,000 respectively in the following years. And they have already given the royalty will be rupees 5 per ton. So third column, in the third column we have to calculate royalty. So we have actually we have output of 500 tons here. So 500 into rupees 5, that would come to 2,500. This will be the royalty. And in the second year 3,000 into 5, so that will be 15,000. In third year 8,000 into 5, that will be 40,000. And in the fourth year 12,000 into 5, that would be 60,000. And fourth column will be of minimum rent. If we check the minimum rent clause, they have already given for the first year the minimum rent, land for minimum rent of 10,000 in the first year. So for the first year the minimum rent will be 10,000. And they have given for the second year it will be 20,000 in the second year. So obviously 20,000 for the second year. And if you look and thereafter 30,000 per annum. So from third year onwards it would be 30,000. So 30,000, 30,000. And by keeping question aside for a while, if we check, so first column and second column is already given in the question, and third column we have to calculate royalty based on number of tons into royalty per ton, that is rupees 5 per ton. 500 into 5, 3,000 into 5, 8,000 into 5 and 12,000 into 5. Afterwards they have given minimum rent would be 10,000 in the first year, 20,000 in the second year, and thereafter it would be 30,000. If you look in the first year, royalty payable is 2,500, but you have to pay a minimum rent of 10,000 irrespective of whatever output you have raised. So 10,000 is minimum in this case, but in actual sense you have to pay only 2,500. But to safeguard the owner, we have this minimum rent clause. So what does it say? We have to pay, the user of right has to pay minimum of 10,000 irrespective of whatever the output he has raised. That is the minimum, but there is no bar and maximum. Okay, and 2,500 is actual royalty, and you have to pay 10,000, that is minimum rent, which means we have to pay 7,500 out of our own pockets. This 7,500 is nothing but short workings. There is no surplus in this year. And if you look at the second year, 15,000 is royalty, but you have to pay 20,000 minimum rent, which means you have to pay 5,000 extra out of your pocket. This is called short workings. And if you check the third year minimum rent is only 30,000, but the actual royalty is 40,000, which means royalty is more than the minimum rent. So this is what we call it as surplus. How much it is more? 10,000 royalty is more. This is what we call it as surplus. And now if you check the fourth year, the actual royalty is 60,000, but the amount payable for minimum rent is only 30,000, which means we have a surplus of 30,000. Now if we look into the question, now there is a clause for recoupment of short workings. What is recoupment of short workings? Recoupment is nothing but in the first 2 years we have paid 7,500 and 5,000 out of our own pockets. Though we have raised the lesser amount of output of coal, we have paid the minimum rent and we have incurred 7,500 loss and 5,000 loss from our own pockets. Yes or no? So we can recover these short workings, whatever the loss incurred in first few years, from the surplus of next years. So this is what we call as recoupment of short workings, also called as recovery of short workings. So if we check, the clause of recoupment is recoupment of short workings over the first 3 years only. So we can recover short workings only from the surplus of first 3 years. If we have surplus in the first 3 years, we can recover, otherwise we cannot recover anything. So if you check, from the first year you cannot recover anything, recovered is nil. And from the second year also you cannot recover anything, recovered is nil, because there is no surplus. If we have surplus, we can recover. We don't have surplus in the first 2 years, so we have no option for recovery in the first 2 years. So if you look at third year we have surplus of rupees 10,000, whereas 10,000, but here if you look, 7,500 is there. Yes, we can recover entire 7,500 out of this 10,000, but here there is 5,000, but we can recover only 2,500. After recovering this 7,500, only 2,500 had been left from this 10,000. So we have 5,000 extra here. That means 5,000 plus 7,500, which means 12,500. We have to recover total short workings of 12,500. But here we have surplus of only 10,000. So we can recover short workings of rupees recovered, short workings recovered. So we can recover 10,000, and what about remaining 2,500? We cannot recover this after third year, because they have said in the problem clearly that we can recover from the first 3 years surplus only from the first 3 years. So first 3 years we have surplus only in the third year. So out of 12,000 we can recover only 10,000. So remaining 2,500 had been left irrecovered. And if we see the fourth year we don't have any short workings, and we cannot recover anything also, because we can recover only from the surplus of first 3 years. Now if you check the amount payable, how much amount should be payable to the landlord, that is Gulbarga Collieries. If you see in the first year we have an actual royalty of 2,500, but minimum rent is 10,000. Which is more? Minimum rent is more, so minimum you have to pay 10,000. So in the second year, 15,000, 20,000, whichever is more. Which is more? 20,000 is more. Minimum rent, again you have to pay 20,000 amount payable. In the third year, whichever is more, like royalty or minimum rent. In this year, royalty is more. Whenever royalty is more, then you have to check. So if royalty is more, obviously we had surplus. If we have surplus, did we recover anything or not? Yes, we have recovered. How much did we recover? We recovered 10,000. So out of 40,000, 40,000 is greater than 30,000, right? So 40,000, out of 40,000 we have recovered 10,000, and after deducting the 10,000, 30,000 is payable. See, in no case amount payable will be lesser than minimum rent. It will be either equal to minimum rent or it will be greater to minimum rent, but in no case it will be lesser than minimum rent. And next, in the fourth year, royalty or minimum rent. Royalty is more again. If royalty is more, obviously surplus is there. If surplus is there, did we recover anything? No, we haven't recovered. So 60,000 minus 0, so 60,000 directly. So this is how we'll solve the problem. That's it. Take a look. So chart showing royalty and short workings.